Okay, Google blames website for race-based AI overview response. Okay, so generally speaking, one of the things that is always brought up when we talk about AI and AI agents and LLMs and our AI agents and LLMs replacing our jobs and like this discussion, one of the things we always bring up or you always read is that AI cannot be held accountable, right? So for example, AI does a job, whatever it is, it's not perfect. There's some issues. Who's gonna be held accountable for those issues? ChatGPT? It doesn't make sense, right? So Google here is blaming race-based AI overview for like the website content, right? It's like, hey, this is from the website. So the problem here is Google is trying to have its cake and eat it too. So Google goes to court with SERP API because it's saying, "Hey, my search results are copyrighted. I own them. These are my intellectual property, right?" And so this is what's Google claiming in court. But then if you take Google and say, hey, why is this search result bad? They bring the other side of the argument and they say, oh, we're not responsible for that. That's the content where this was pulled from, right? We're not responsible for. So is it your copyright? Is it you genuinely believe this is your intellectual property? Or is it I'm not responsible for that. This is not mine. I brought it from some website. And you see what's happening here? Um, Google needs to take a stance and stand behind it. And that's the problem. We see regularly that's not the case, right? Depending on the audience, depending on the situation, you get a different answer. So and this was even like in the past when Google was being sued for being a monopoly and like there's a lot of discussions there, right? So they also were arguing they're not a monopoly. Uh so yeah. Um so here's one of those incidents. So if you search for is it okay to only want a white doctor, right? Let's go to that search results. You'll see wanting a doctor of only one specific race is generally viewed by medical ethics boards and healthcare institutions as a preference rooted in racial bias or discrimination rather than clinical need. But if you ask, is it okay to only want a black doctor? Yes, it is completely okay to want a black doctor, right? And they're pulling this from Reddit, from Instagram. A black doctor should be an option. And then medical news today, like some other websites, right? When black patients see non-black doctors, like there is some resources, right? But again, Google selected those resources and Google synthesized this answer. So, what do you think? Do you think Google should be responsible for whatever they say and whatever they claim? Shouldn't they stand behind it? Um, okay, so someone brought this up on Twitter here, and Google said, "Thanks for flagging. The teams are looking into it. Will work to improve. Seems like this response is picking up particular web pages for this specific search, not for all queries, and not seeing it in Gemini, whatever, right? Like, yeah, we'll look into it." So, yeah. So what are your thoughts? Should Google be responsible for what they put out there in search results? Or they can also keep saying, oh, we're not responsible, but they can also sue others. Don't you think it just doesn't add up? Anyways, let me know your thoughts. And see you next video. Bye.